Um, I'll call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dutoshen Joko. I go by D. Joko, Chair of the Danvers Human Rights and Inclusion Committee. Welcome to our October 2022 Human Rights and Inclusion Committee. And before we start, I will urge our Vice Chair, Kristen, to read the Native Land Acknowledgement.
In keeping with our values of equity and inclusion and to support those who experience marginalization, this evening's meeting will begin with a Native American land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the ancestral homelands of the Namkeg and Agawam people. Historical evidence shows that the Namkeg and Agawam were peaceful in their relationship with European settlers. However, their population depleted rapidly due to smallpox and other pandemic Old World diseases, unknowingly introduced by earlier European colonizers to the East Coast. To honor the Namkeg and Agawam communities, along with any other indigenous peoples who inhabited these lands now known as Danvers, Massachusetts, and who may be lost to history, let us take a moment to recognize the past, present, and future of indigenous peoples and reflect on our roles within settler colonization. We acknowledge these ancestral grounds we have collectively gathered upon and support the resilience and strength that indigenous people have shown worldwide.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will inquire about any citizen queries. If there's something that's not already on the agenda that a resident want to ask or comment. Here, none. Okay. I'll then move on to the fourth point of the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes. From September 15, 2022, they were attached to the agenda. I'll need a motion. Okay.
Second.
Okay, the motion has been moved and seconded. Any discussions?
Just one update for the second line. I think it should say committee members not present. I think that's just a minor typo. And then Paul is listed in both categories, so we'll just confirm if Paul was here last time or not.
I was here.
Okay, so we'll remove him from the not present column.
No. I was just joking.
You weren't here, so we will remove him
You didn't
from
look
the
up fast
present.
enough to see me smile.
Of all business. Okay.
Any other comments? Here, none. Okay, so I'll need another motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
second. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? None. Okay, the motion carries. I'll now move on to the next item of the agenda. We are fortunate and privileged today to have with us the superintendent of the Danvers Public School, along with curriculum coordinators from the elementary school. If you could please just go to the microphone and introduce yourself. Sure.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. My name is Julie Pasternak, and I am the Elementary Curriculum Director here in Danvers. And I haven't been in this room since I was much younger and school committee was in here. Like that was a lifetime ago. But thank you for having me this evening. I will be brief. So as you know, the Danvers Public Schools are working to create culturally responsive and sustaining classrooms. And tonight I would like to share with you a little bit about what this work looks like at the elementary level, and then ask for your support and help with some of this important work. So coming off of the pandemic, we had guidance from the state around accelerating student learning, but also around culturally responsive work. And our charge from the state level was that all public schools in Massachusetts should work to becoming more culturally responsive and sustaining schools and classrooms. And the Department of Ed defines culturally responsive as an approach to viewing culture and identity as assets, including students' race, ethnicity, or linguistic assets, among other characteristics. So in Danvers, we've committed to creating learning environments that are inclusive for all of our students and preparing our students for a global community. So those are a lot of big words, but really what I wanted to share with you tonight is what does that work look like in the K through 5 classrooms. So this year, in all kindergarten through 5th grade classrooms, we are implementing the Anti-Defamation League's, or ADL's, Anti-Bias Building Blocks curriculum. And these are lessons for all of there's K2 lessons and then 3-5 lessons as well. We're also working to pair each of the ADL units with culturally responsive read-alouds. So these are beautiful books that we've picked, and we've purposely chosen characters and themes so that all students feel represented, and all students can learn about other students and other people in the world all around us. So as you can see from the graphic on your handout, this is from 2018, but it's just a helpful, I think the most important part of it is you can see in the majority of children's books, the characters are white. And the next largest number is actually animals. Then you can see we go on from there, African American characters, Asian Pacific Islander, Latinx, and down to 1% being indigenous people. And so we really pick these books purposely to make sure that, I don't know if you've ever heard the term windows and mirrors, but making sure that all kids have windows into other experiences, but also have mirrors to see themselves represented. So that's what's happening at the elementary schools, but why I'm here tonight is that through our professional development and talking to other districts, we've learned that this work really needs to extend beyond the classroom and into the community. And so we met with Jasmine last week, and we are going to move forward with putting on 3 community learning workshops for families. You can see the dates at the bottom of the handout, November, January, and March. And what the goals of these workshops are is we're doing all this learning as staff at professional development. We're having these conversations with our students. We're doing lessons. We're doing read-alouds. But we want to provide that learning also for anyone who's interested in the community. So come experience some of the lessons. Do some of the read-alouds with us. Have these conversations so that more people can be part of the conversation and the conversations can extend beyond the elementary schools. And so why I'm here tonight is mostly to share with you the work that's happening at elementary, but what I would love to ask is if the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee would be willing to co-sponsor and partner with us to host these community learning workshops so that we maybe reach a broader participants, so that it wouldn't be just distributed through the Danvers Public Schools, but also sort of partnering with the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Any comment? I'll start by David.
Well, obviously just seen this evening. It looks like a worthy project, and I think we probably should partner with you, and if we can bring it to a wider audience, I think that definitely benefits the community.
Bill?
I agree with everything you just said.
Donna?
No, I agree too. I'm just wondering what that might look like. Do you just want to work with us on distribution or?
Distribution, if we'd love to come and share, we have lots of ideas about what these 3 nights might include. We're looking to perhaps bring in some speakers, to bring in some other voices into the conversation. So we'd love to be able to update you as we plan and get closer to implementing these evenings, but also your help with distribution, and that it would be partnering from both of us going
So
out.
there'll be different programs then on each of the nights?
Yes.
Hopefully building on the previous one, hopefully. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Kristen?
My only question is, you mentioned kindergarten through the 5th grade. I have a pre-K kid. Can we target them too? And I guess I don't know enough about how curriculums are developed, but is this also being kind of unofficially in the Danvers Public Schools?
It's actually officially
Okay.
the read aloud, the culturally responsive read aloud portion is actually pre-K to 5.
Okay.
The ADL curriculum is actually written for K to 5. But the preschool is implementing a new curriculum this year that includes a lot of social emotional work and a lot of these conversations. So we work very closely with the preschool teachers. They're fantastic. And so they are definitely included in this work. They don't do the ADL curriculum. That is specifically K to 5. But they have equivalent work
Okay.
that they do.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think we should definitely partner. The more we can get, the community involved, the better. I think with everything that's gone on in the last few years, it seems a lot of things can be siloed when there's issues, and I think the more that the families are called in, the better it is all around. So I support it.
Thank you. Bob?
It was wonderful listening to you. Especially on the elementary level, I mean, what these children will take with them are going to last. And I see, bringing in the community as an essential part of this, because after all, this is really a cultural thing. And I see interaction by our committee as integral, and I support it. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Jorge?
I think it's a great idea. I'm looking forward to hopefully helping if I can.
Thank you.
Paul?
Well, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. And as the other members mentioned, I'm all in favor of any interaction we can have with the schools. I have a couple of questions. In Elementary Works SY 2223, the statistic of diversity in children's books, this was at 2018. Now we're in sort of 4 years beyond that. Were these the books that you were using at that time in 2018? Were those the percentages? How did they line up?
Honestly, probably this is the most recent graphic, and it is dated. I assume they'll be coming out with a new one shortly. But honestly, probably in 2018, the books that we were using probably matched the percentages that you see on
Close to those?
Yep.
Okay. Because I sort of find it alarming that animals were more. There were more books about animals than there were about diverse children, communities, etc., whatever the books were. I'm hoping that we, as a group, if you take the 1%, 5, 7, it comes out to 23%. So hoping that in the next survey we can get above and get closer to those that reflect the white population.
And there is the one previous to 2018 was 2015, and the numbers were worse than what you're looking at. So it is moving in a direction.
And maybe you can't answer, I don't know if Mary can answer this, Acting Superintendent Mary Wormers. Is there, and you probably have given us this time and time again every year, but the percentages of these breakdowns now, presently, in the elementary K through 5, as to American Indians, First Nations, et cetera, are those lined up the same way? How do we line up with that?
So this is library parallel.
Okay.
So these are like a national statistic from the Children's Book Council. So they're out of Wisconsin from the CCDC. It's an organization that is dedicated to this work. We actually have made over the last 4 years quite a bit of strides in our library collections, as well as the curriculum department has really worked to make sure that the classroom libraries are also reflective of various cultures and students, and also family experiences as well. A lot of things that maybe aren't necessarily captured on here. We do have those statistics, but they are pre-COVID, so I'd have to get the annual report made. But we actually have, that's been an effort that we really strive to improve.
And another question I have is related to that, but when you look at forgetting books now, okay, forgetting books, just as a general population, student-wise, where are we numbers-wise, if you can do that off the top of your head, or you have statistics as to what is the breakdown of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of students in our K through 5 elementary population now? Do you have anything close?
We're 16.7% are not white. So almost 17% of our students.
Okay, 84%. Okay, and the last question is, one I see nationwide, are we getting any kind of pushbacks as to the type of books that you're presenting, and is that a factor, is it a problem, or is it something you're able to solve? If there is no problem, that's wonderful. We always hear about banning books, et cetera, nationwide in public schools. Just curious as to if you're feeling any of that.
We have had some conversations with families who are not supportive or comfortable with some of the book choices. And with every last year and this year, the principal and myself have sat down with every family that's reached out. We've had a conversation, and all of those conversations, I think, are really important, that we're having that dialogue. And even if we at the end don't necessarily agree, I think it's about building the relationships with families, and even if they're uncomfortable conversations, that's how we grow, is through having these kinds of conversations. So we, sometimes it can feel like a lot, but when you look at statistically, you step back and think about the number of elementary students and then how many conversations you're having, it's actually minimal.
Thank you for the work you're doing. I know I would imagine when you have those conversations, they are difficult, but yet to work through them and to explain certainly helps parents who have, they're rightfully so. They have the right to come in, and they should come in, question, and as long as we can always discuss, then we're going to be moving forward. Thank you.
Question.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, Bob?
If I understand you correctly, you want our committee to participate in these community learning workshops, and I'm looking at the dates, and the first one is scheduled for November the 7th. So do we need to have a motion here or any discussion of, because we have a small time frame here?
Yes, that's what we're doing, kind of discussing, and it seems like most of the committee is in agreement that this is something we should pursue.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if it necessarily requires a vote. I mean, we could take one to formalize it, but
Yeah, it was just a point of information.
just from the discussions that most of the committee is in agreement. I don't know if our liaisons have any comments or suggestions. Jasmine?
I mean, I would say that I think Julie's being a little modest. I think this team is putting in incredible work. I've seen it literally mapped out on the walls in their office. And I really want to remind us of one of our, what's becoming, I would say, our themes of better speech, where I think this is a great opportunity by physically showing up to these workshops, not only engaging with the material that they're presenting, but also with other families. That is something that we can do as well, so that we can support them in helping people better understand this content. It's wonderful that they're taking time to meet with all these families, and also that is time that takes them away from the work that directly impacts students. And so again, thinking about how can we literally insert ourselves in places where we know challenging conversations are happening to support that and further the work. I think showing up physically in that way is one way to support them. So I want to really elevate that point. And I also just want to remind us, because we said 84% of the students are white. The town, right, is what, like 92%? So there is a lot of racial diversity in our youth, and I cannot say that enough. There is a lot of mixed race children as well. And so I really want us to remember that and think about what this white majority of adults can be doing to in turn support where these demographics are going. So that's another thing I want to elevate. So I really commend their work and the time they're giving all the parents with this.
Thank you. Lieutenant Rob?
Thank you for putting this together and doing this. As always, anything that the police can do to support the schools, we're there for you. I'll share this with chief level, and the school resource officers may already have it, but if they don't, I'll send it to them as well. So,
Lieutenant Sullivan, I did meet Derek Colella, Officer Colella, today, and I mentioned this to him as well. So if you want to nudge him too, that'd be great.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yes,
I
David?
have a question. This program is strictly going to be about, I guess we call it ethnic background, nothing about LBGT or gender bias or anything like that at this point, correct?
So we have a variety of topics that build, the culturally responsive read alouds build throughout the school year. And so what we're hoping to do with the 3 different times, the 3 different workshops, is match the learning around the topics that are going to be then happening within the classroom. So we will be covering a broad
So you will,
base of
okay, all right,
topics,
good,
yes.
all right, good.
So thank you again for the presentation. I think this is amazing work. As Dr. King once said, the function of education is to teach one to think critically. And intelligence plus character, you know, that's the essence of education. And this is what you are doing for our kids. So I could not be more pleased to have my kids in the Danvers Public Schools. And I just urge every family and parents to really participate. Not online, in person if you can. So I think this is great work, and it sounds to me that this committee is supportive of the idea. And I'll actually ask for a motion for us to partner with the curriculum director in the Danvers Public School to support these initiatives.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Any discussions? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Not. The motion carries. So I'll urge Jasmine to please work with her to kind of keep us informed and
Happily.
let us know how we can proceed. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
time. Thank you.
Thank you.
But question for him, besides attending these things, is there something special you'd like us to do?
Attending would be amazing, and then helping us with getting the word out. We'll make specific flyers for each of the 3 nights as we get closer.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I will now, we're also very fortunate and privileged to having tonight our new student liaisons. If you could just go to the microphone and introduce yourselves. Is that okay? Just so everyone at home can hear you.
Hi, my name is Dio Data. I'm a senior in Danvers High School. I just wanted to say that change is very uncomfortable, and sometimes we have to be uncomfortable and also disagree with others because that can bring change sometimes. At the end of the day, everyone will be all right.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nora. I'm a junior at Danvers High School, and I'm a Jewish student there.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Isaiah Young. I apologize for my reappearance. I'm a senior at DHS. I was just eating team dinner with my team. I briefly wanted to mention on something one of my groups is doing that relates sort of back to educating students. We are called Next Gen, Leadership and Equity and Inclusion, and we're starting to teach off the freshman class more about like racial, like social inequities, stereotypes, all of that. And yeah.
I'll be curious to know what that's. My daughter actually was at that meeting last night. She said next gen. I wasn't sure what it was, but I think they will be teaching microaggressions and educating their peers in a more generational, appropriate way. So I'll be curious to see what that looks like. So thank you so much.
Okay. So I'm a little nervous now. I'm like really underdressed right now.
Take your time.
You're fine. He
Okay.
came from football, so you're good. We wish we were dressed like you. You look comfortable. For real.
For the past year or so, me and a group of other students have really started to work with Janelle Ridley, the associate director for, I gotta get this title correct here, Equity at Brandeis University. And she goes around and works with a lot of different schools and school systems to help make games about like a variety of different topics. We decided to veer away from the games because we wanted to make a longer lasting impact on our community. And we came to the conclusion that freshmen were the group to target because we hope by their senior year, what they learn and what they learn as leaders and what they learn during our course can help change the culture at DHS and can help trickle down, basically. And yeah, we spent a year making curriculum, and we're really excited to teach it. We didn't have the best turnout last night. We had about 5 people there, but I think we'll have more next week. So I'm excited about that.
Thank you. Yes, Kristen?
I think this committee would love to hear more about that, like in more detail. So maybe at next month's meeting, we could either have other peers of yours join too, or however you would want to share that with us. But I think that's really interesting, and I would love to learn more.
Okay, then I'll contact them about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
No, I want to talk to him privately when he leaves.
Okay. Well, I can't thank you enough for being here tonight. And thank you for your code change. Yes, it can be uncomfortable. You're so right. And us as adults, we have a lot to learn from you. Or sometimes just get out of your way so you do the right thing. but just
And if
know
we
that,
don't kick us out of the way.
yes, yes. But just know that you are not in that alone. I can speak for this committee. We are committed to this work. We're committed to having you guys have the best experience you can have toward your high school and as you go toward your adulthood. You said it can be uncomfortable, but we want to find a way to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's how we're going to make a long-lasting change. So we have your back. You have our support, and we're looking forward to what we will be able to do this year. So thank you. Yes, Jasmine.
I also just wanted to add, they also are underselling themselves. Isaiah is a student athlete doing this incredible work. We have Nora Haas, who was on the bridge with us, taking back the bridge, and part of the anti-discrimination group and heavily involved in that. We have Jewo Jata, who's in Women of the World, who is returning in her role as student liaison and who stood by my side all day during the Healing and Unity event to do my identity activity. So despite the little that they said, they do a lot, and we have a lot to learn from them, so I'm very excited to work closely with them in this capacity.
Thank you.
I think we're all excited to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, I would be happy no matter what any student wears at this meeting. I don't, my husband shames me for taking off my sweats and putting on real clothes.
So thank you very much.
So I said, anything you want to wear is perfect.
So you're
fine.
You're more than welcome to stay, but if you have to, exit to do the homework, that's okay as well. So I'll now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the liaison update. Did we get that on the thing? Yeah. Oh, no, I have one. So do we have any questions? We're going to start by, you want to read that?
I can, sure.
Okay.
Do we want to go over this since we just talked about it? Okay. Let's go to the Danvers Interfaith Partnership Liaison. So I see that Pastor Douglas is not here today. So he noted there's no meeting this month, and they'll meet again in November. So we'll probably learn more next month. The Select Board Liaison update. David Mills is not here, but the Select Board last met on October 18th. The board continues to be informed about the work of the HRIC. They had positive feedback about the Take Back the Bridge event and look forward to hearing more about incident response teams and plans. And then the school committee liaison, Eric is here. A student reported anti-Semitic graffiti in the form of a swastika symbol that was found faintly drawn in a student bathroom on the morning of October 18th. And I'll turn it over to you to add any details you'd like.
And thank you for having all of us tonight. And Mary can help me if I miss anything. I'll talk about the issue with the swastika first. It was extremely small and extremely faint, but it was present. And we were very pleased that the student did exactly what we want them to do, which is saw it and brought it to the attention of an adult, and within the school. And then in response, that very day, the staff talked to the students as a group. Then there were teachers who were going to have individual discussions with their classes afterward. There were communications home to the parents, and there was a community activity that was done earlier this week to sort of bring people together. But we think the response was appropriate. These things are going to occasionally happen. We'd love to reach a day where they never happen, but knowing that they will sometimes, having a consistent plan in place to deal with it, and one that is proportionate to what happens, is very important. And I know that Dee was communicated with that same day, and Jasmine, so people knew about it to the extent, right away. So that's basically it. Again, we're going to keep dealing with these issues as they come up. We think communication and discussions and learning, using these as learning moments whenever possible, is the right way to go. And again, we keep moving that ball forward. That's all we can do. The only other updates I would have is that we are continuing with the superintendent search, and a number of people have asked about being on the screening committee. There will be one at-large member from the community, and there'll be other community members. I believe it's 3 from each grade level. So there's more to come on that. I think our subcommittee announced that Monday. So if people are interested, is it on our website, Mary, how people can, so take a look. Okay. Yep. So take a look at our website if you're interested. But again, I imagine competition will be stiff. And we had a resignation of school committee member Jeff Kay, who had been with us almost 9 years. Jeff is moving out of Danvers. He hopes temporarily, but could not continue to serve. So on Monday next, we'll be interviewing and appointing a replacement from a group of 5 candidates. So then, of course, we'll be asking questions, and views on SEL and that sort of thing, and diversity will be important, I think, as we talk to those candidates. So really, that's it, unless there are any questions.
Any questions, comments? None. Thank you so much, Eric. I watched the school committee and was pleased once again with the curriculum and everything that the school is implementing to really, give our youth the best education that they can have. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Everything's a work in progress.
That's right. And but I'll also say, I think it's important, and this is a call to action from our parents and the community. This is not something that the school have to do by themselves. This is not something that the school can do by themselves. And as we have this discussion, Brian Stevens always comes to mind, which he said once, we are all implicated when we allow others to be mistreated. Because the absence of compassion corrupts not only the person perpetrating it, but it corrupts the whole community. So it's really important that, and I'm probably preaching to the choir in this room, but anyone watching, we have to do something as a community. And I urge everyone to really rethink the way we do things, and really speak to our kids about these incidents at home. The school can do it, but we have to continue to do that at home. So thank you, Eric. I will now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the DEI readout from Jasmine.
Thank you. So I wanted to call the committee's attention to the other side of their agenda, where we have community agreements. This is a reminder, but also just for those who were not able to attend our committee workshop. So on Thursday, September 29th, the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee participated in a workshop with me entitled Words Matter, Introduction to Social Justice Terminology. And so at the beginning of that session, our committee members drafted the following community agreements. And for those of you who don't know, these are ways that we as a committee are committed to the pursuit of a brave space, I say, because we can't guarantee safety. And so these are things that this is a tool for us to use anytime we come together as a committee. And I'm sharing this so public can also get a sense of it. It's a great tool for any groups that come together. And so should a committee member violate an agreement, this list can be used as a tool to really call in that member rather than calling out and putting people off. So the list that we came together with, and I'm not going to read it every meeting, but just to get us into the habit, we first decided that we will expect unfinished business, which is great, especially on Thursday evenings at 7:39 p.m., right? So knowing our conversations start here but don't end here. Engage your brain first, so wanting people to really think critically about what they're saying, how they're saying it, what it's going to contribute to the conversation. We're also trying to reserve judgment here, so these committee meetings are learning spaces and opportunities to exchange information. One microphone, so obviously we don't want to interrupt one another. We really want to respect people's airtime. We also put expect surprises, which definitely speaks to when incidents pop up or when someone has a question we weren't prepared for. Additionally, assume good intentions, so recognizing that good intentions don't always lead to positive impact. If we start by assuming no one is trying to harm anyone else, we can skip to the part where we focus on who's been impacted and think about how to remedy whatever harm has been caused. We also said pass for now, so the same way our chair asks each liaison if they have something to say. You don't always have to feel compelled when called upon. I think we understand that. And then all questions are welcome. Again, these are learning spaces. We are also modeling for the community who is watching us how to engage around topics that can be tricky. So that's just the reminder. Ask the thing that even if you think you should know it, that's also why I'm here to be a resource. There's a lot of knowledge collectively in the room, so we want to honor that. So these are community agreements. We can continue to revisit these. We can, challenge them at a later time if we want to. But again, these are things I want us to come back to. So if I could just get a thumbs up affirmation that we're on board as they're presented at this time. Okay. See all good thumbs. Wonderful. The rest of my report is quick. I wanted to elevate on October 10th, we celebrated Indigenous Peoples Day. I want to remind us that the shift away from Columbus Day is to acknowledge the harmful impact of celebrating Columbus as a hero, and it's a reminder to challenge the narratives of the history that we've been taught. I also learned that back in January 2020, Danvers Select Board had urged legislature to rename Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, but it does Columbus Day does remain recognized as a holiday at the state and federal level. Many communities across Massachusetts are celebrating Indigenous peoples instead of Columbus Day, or also in addition to. So I wanted to name that. So, we're not just talking about a land acknowledgement, right? We have to move beyond just knowing what land we're on, but to thinking about the implications of the everyday and thinking about the very present and future experiences of Indigenous people. October is busy. It's a busy time. We ended Latinx Heritage Month on the 15th, but it's also LGBT+ History Month, not to be confused with Pride Month in June. And so the 11th was National Coming Out Day. Last bit of it from me. Many of you know this by now. I'm trying to revive our Disability Commission. This is really an attempt to shift away from the traditional Disability Commission that just focuses on the American Disabilities Act to really expanding it to considering all forms of access. So we're thinking about it not as just mental or physical disability, but accessibility. So what are other examples of barriers to access For example, we know transgender people experience barriers to accessing healthcare. We know that people coming from other countries experience language barriers when trying to access all kinds of resources, school resources and whatnot. So I am currently recruiting for that. I would love your support. Definitely can see in the future having a liaison between these two committees to expand even our knowledge and conversation about the experiences of differently abled people here in Danvers. So I wanted to, again, elevate that. I have 3 people interested. I'm starting with a board of 5. Cheer me on. Moral support is appreciated. I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Thank you, Jasmine. Yes, Kristen.
What types of committee members would make good members for that?
Yes, so there are actually some, I believe, federal stipulations. They ask that the majority of the committee identify within the disability community. There is one position that can be for someone who is the parent of someone with a disability. So I'm really trying to, advocate for that. I've done particular outreach to our special education advisory committee. That's it, I'm reminding myself in this moment to reach out to our senior center as well, to recruit there as well. But also a reminder that just because you don't serve on a committee in official capacity doesn't mean you can't come be in our audience. So I think there will be a lot of opportunity for education there.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Thank you so much, Jasmine. The training, it was a great experience for me. And I remember Paul and I, after, we had this ally continuum, and we were trying to figure out where we stand on that continuum. And it was just a clear reminder that even for those of us who call ourselves advocates, we still have a lot of work to do, and we still have a lot to learn. So that was a really great training. And we'll be having another one, and that will be item number 9. Kristen.
Okay. So we've talked about the Heathmere dialogue training for several months, and it is scheduled for Monday, the 24th of October. The agenda will look similar to what we've reviewed in past meetings. There will be an introduction led by Lauren, who joined our meeting last month and provided additional details on what to expect. That will take about an hour. Then we'll break into 2 smaller groups for dialogues, so 7 to 8 people per group. One group will be facilitated by Jasmine, the other by Lauren. That'll be approximately an hour and a half, and then we'll come back together at the end for a debrief, and it will be an opportunity to reflect and regroup. So please let us know if you're not able to join. It will be helpful to understand what the totals will be for the group dialogues. And just, we hope everyone enjoys themselves. It'll be good to have support with how to have tough conversations with each other and be able to model that outside of this group. So I'm really looking forward to it. It will be from 6 to 9 p.m. At the high school library. So thank you, Mary, for helping schedule that. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
I'm hoping I can make it. I gotta be 4 places that night.
This is one of them.
This is one of them, yeah.
Yes, Paul.
Is the community invited, or is just for our committee?
So I believe due to open meeting law, it is open to the public because we will all be there. The intent is not for the community to participate in the dialogues, but they're welcome to watch, learn. The space will be large enough where there can be seating. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Newton.
I had the same question, if it was
Okay.
open to the public.
Okay. Any other questions? Here none. Thank you. I'll encourage everyone to participate. Yes, Jasmine.
Students are not required to attend, but welcome. I think I emailed you that. But
Yes, and again, the fact that we ourselves are going through these trainings and seeking help, and it's a clear reminder that I'm repeating myself here, we all have something to learn. No one is a professional or a know-all in these matters. It's a journey and not a destination. So thank you for putting that together. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda. How am I doing with time? I'm doing pretty well, right? I'm running in tight shape here.
Never say that.
Committee structure updates. You have all received an information packet in your emails, and this is probably something that most of us have seen before, but it was very apparent that before I even get there, we currently do have 2 vacancies on the committee, and thanks to Amanda and Deb for all their contributions, and they've offered themselves as available to continue to help us in specific events, but they just were unable to commit to monthly meetings and things like that. So we do have 2 vacancies on the committee now, and it was very apparent that as we onboard committee members, it's important to have a clear structure and clear guidance in place for people coming on board to easily transition into their role. So with the help of Jasmine and Kristen, they did put this information package together that was emailed to everyone. And I'm not going to read through it because it's several pages. There's just one of the concepts that I want to throw out to this committee to think about. On the package, we had mission statement, basics, like, where do we meet, how often do we meet as a committee, how do we access the minutes, and things like that. Email and open meeting laws. How do we deal with that? Agenda building. How do we come up with the agenda? And then liaisons. Who are the liaisons and how do we work with the different liaisons? And then reappointments. Like if someone wanted to be reappointed, because we are appointed by the select board for 3 years terms, and people don't always know how they seek reappointment, or if they're unable, or if they want to step aside, they are not always sure what to do. So that's also included in there. And we also have information about code of conduct, which is something that's very dear to me because I believe that us serving our community on this local board is a privilege. And we have to keep that in mind and always know that our work is to uphold the mission statement of this committee. And we should remember that we represent the entire community to some extent. So it's important that we hold ourselves to the highest standard, ethically and otherwise. So that's also included in that package. The concept that I have, which I just want to throw out there, I also thought that it was important for us to have a different category of committee members, which I don't know what we call it in academia. We call it member emeritus. Maybe here we can call it honorary members. I'm not sure. But if someone has served on this committee for a long, long time and decide to step aside, I think it will be a good thing for us to consider appointing that member as an honorary member. Because my history in the committee have been that people just stop showing up. I mean, people come to these meetings, they belong to this committee, and then they just stop coming, and then we send them a letter, or we try to see, are you still on? And so, but if we formalize the process where people can actually, or if someone doesn't have as much time, but they still want to stay involved, they can decide after a certain amount of time to go to this honorary member where they are not voting members, but they're still welcome to attend the meetings whenever they can. So if the committee is okay with these ideas, we can formalize it, but that will have to go back to the select board for approval, because this will be kind of like a new thing, and because we are a board appointed by the select board, we have to bring that to them for consideration. Any initial thought, idea, comments? about that concept? I don't know if I was clear. I feel like, yes, Paul.
Generally, I would be in favor of that, because we have some very talented people, unfortunately, that we just lost. And I would like to see those people and the others that have been on the board, and not the board, but the committee in the past, feel free to come. And understanding that they wouldn't be allowed to vote, but with the idea that they would be allowed to speak. I mean, as chairman, you could, I think you, I'm sure you have the privilege to recognize certainly any committee member, but in the audience, let's say, if we had an honorary committee member here and they had something to say, I would imagine, I think that we could allow for that.
Yes.
Because they're, again, with their talent, with their understanding of certain issues, we should be able to hear from them. Might be able to add something to any specific item we're talking about.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, there's a gray area, and I think systematizing this would be very helpful. I mean, instrumental. And I like the idea of an emeritus, being set up. So
Okay.
I approve.
Thank you. Any
Agree.
questions?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of ancestral memories sitting here and sitting at home from people who were on the committee from
Yes.
years ago.
Yes.
There's the founder right there.
It was lost, I founded it.
No, definitely. I think this will be, and it will also be a great way to really honor our long-standing members who decide to step aside at some point. And yeah, I think this will be great. And if, like I say, if someone is unable to be at Monday meetings, but they still want to stay and participate, now we'll find out how, if the select board approves this concept, how those people will be appointed to that honorary board or whatever we call it. But then they could step aside and come whenever they can, and that would just create space for maybe another appointment of someone that could be here monthly. So it's a win-win-win, the way I look at it. So it sounds like the committee members are in favor of pursuing this concept and try to solidify it. Okay, perfect.
Would it be helpful for me to read what I had written and shown you?
Sure.
So I had, when we were toying with this idea, I drafted my attempted official sounding language. But so whatever we're going to call this, these are non-voting positions that recognize longevity and or impact of individual members during their terms. Members may express intent to serve in this capacity upon reappointment is one way, and voting members can approve that. Advisory members are, we don't know what the name is, but these members are welcome to participate in open discussions and offer guidance, but are not required to attend every meeting. So that's just a draft of what we would ask the select board.
So that kind of goes to what you were saying, Paul.
Yeah, would we have to take that to the select board?
That's correct.
Correct.
Yes, okay.
That's correct.
Fine. All in favor? Myself.
Perfect. So if we're all in agreement, we will try to formalize it, and when we'll be ready, we'll let you know and present it to the select board for consideration.
Excellent.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'll now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is subcommittees. I think this is the committee that has the most subcommittee at town hall. We have a subcommittee for everything, which is important because we have this subgroup that work very hard to put events together. So I think it'd be important that we go through them and try to spread the word, the responsibility a little bit, and kind of see which one we keep and which one we don't keep. So Kristen, take it away.
Sure. So what we've done in the past that I think worked well is kind of go through the prior year's subcommittees, assuming that we would like to do those same events in the coming year. If not, we discuss if we want to add any new ones or take any away, and assign committee members who want to serve on that subcommittee. So what I can do is planning for 2023, because I think we're pretty covered through the end of the year, though I think we may have one more event later this year. We can just go through, assign members, and begin planning for when planning starts, because usually we want to begin planning at least a few months in advance. For MLK, I know it's much longer than that. So for those events that will be in the new year, we want to begin planning for the planning now. So I think to start, let's get through 2022. I believe we will plan to do our Hanukkah lighting. What we did last year was we did nightly lightings, and we actually had community volunteers for each night that went to the menorah that was set up outside of the library, and the community members each lit one per night. And then I don't recall if there was one final event at the end, but
Yeah, there's usually a final.
gathering on the
Yeah.
last night.
Steve Barther, I think.
We actually do have one gathering,
Oh.
one of the 8 nights.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be the final.
Okay.
So we will be working, and I know Jasmine have attempted to reach out to the Shabab of the North Shore to see a potential date for that. We have not heard back yet, but we will be reaching out again to see what night they will be available. It doesn't have to be the last night.
Okay.
So it'll be one of the nights where we're all there, and then the other nights, a community member will just go in.
Is the
and
Danvers
light it.
Interfaith Partnership being informed of this?
Yes, Pastor Douglas is aware.
So for the sake of this committee, I think we need a couple of people who are willing to help lead the event, probably with Pastor Douglas. Is there anyone that would like to volunteer? I'd say at least 2 people, probably. Can be at least one committee member, and then liaisons are welcome to volunteer for any of the events as well.
You just want us to shout out?
Yeah.
I can do that.
Okay. Thanks, Donna. Anyone else? Oh, wonderful. Thank you. So Donna, Nora, and then I'll put Pastor Douglas as well.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that gets us through the rest of this year with our events, unless I've missed anything. Did I miss any events that anyone would like to do or we have done in the past?
No.
Great. Okay, so moving on to 2023. MLK already is going strong. I don't think I have the current subcommittee list with Amanda stepping back. So can you remind me, Paul, who is on that? Just I will document all of this, and then I'll send it via email so that we'll have all of this.
Yeah, right now it's myself, Bob, and Bill. Are you active or?
I was on last couple of years, but not this year.
Well,
Paul and
Jasmine
Bob.
is always with us to oversee and keep us in line.
That's why we
We
need it.
we need it sometimes.
Yeah.
We could use help.
Okay.
And I'm gonna not comment any further because I think I would like to bring up a point, this particular point about a fundraising subcommittee.
Yes, that is on the list. We will get to that.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so do we have an MLK? Yeah, we do have it. Maybe I'll save MLK and the
Yeah,
recruiting.
I can give you the update later.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and maybe we'll talk about who wants to do,
Sure.
who wants to support as well. Okay, perfect. The next event that we typically do is Black History Month and for the month of February. Last year, I believe, thanks to Dave, we had a collaboration with the Danvers Historical Society. I believe there was a great Zoom event that was put on. So I don't know if we want to do if the plan is to do something similar in the upcoming year, if there's been any discussions, if anyone has any other ideas on what we'd like to do. I think to start, we should identify the subcommittee members, and then we can figure out what we want to do. Would anyone like to serve on this subcommittee?
We're talking about Black History Month?
Yes.
Yeah, I volunteer.
Okay.
And
I'll work on that too to get the Historical Society
Okay.
involved.
And I think on those committees, I don't know if I can serve on subcommittee. I think I'm ex officio member or something.
You
I don't
were
know what.
on them last year.
Yeah, but
You're listed,
I
but
think I'm
I don't-
listed on all of them.
No, you're not. You're not listed. You're on some, but not
Okay.
all. Actually, this is probably a good opportunity for me to also mention that I will be away February, March, April, maybe May, because I'm expecting in February. So I will not be assigning myself to subcommittees during that time because I don't want to disappoint anyone. So I just want you to know as I'm not stepping up those months.
Can you attend if you feel well? I mean, I'm not trying to push it. But I mean,
medically,
I can understand why you wouldn't want to commit, but we would want you to be there if you can.
I would love to be there if I can. I don't know medically if I'll be recovered in time, but anytime I can be, I will be. I was looking at the 3 events that are upcoming that you'll be hosting, and I saw a March one, and I was like, I don't know if I'll make it to that, but definitely I'll try to attend whenever I can. So for Black History Month, I have Dave and Bob to start. If there's anyone else after the fact that wants to join, please let me know and I'll add you. In March, we have Women's History Month. And what we did last year, we had a wonderful speaker series where we had 3 speakers join us on YouTube. I believe we had recorded it in the DCAT studio. And it was facilitated by a number of different individuals, students.
Our student liaison was one of the facilitators. So.
Yes. So again, I don't know what the plan will be for 2023, but I think we should start by identifying subcommittee members. So would anyone like to join the Women's History Month subcommittee?
I think Jorge was leading that last year.
I wasn't leading it.
Would you like to join it? You were on it last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will assist.
You will assist. Great.
I think the Historical Society collaborated on that one also, if I recall.
I don't know if they did with the Women's History Month one, but maybe.
I know we tried, maybe it didn't work out, I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have Jorge. Anyone else? Okay, we will revisit this. I think for Black History Month, the planning typically began in November, so that will be coming up soon, and then Women's History Month in December. So we do have a little bit of time for people to consider if they want to join. You also don't, just for the public, you don't have to be a committee member to volunteer your time to serve on these subcommittees. So we'll also maybe do a blast to some volunteers and see if people want to help out as well. Pride Month. So this is actually something I wanted to talk about with the committee. So up until now, we've done 2 separate events. We've done the flag raising, typically the first Thursday of the month, and then we've done a pride party outside of the library lawn the first Saturday of the month. And I believe this was our first year doing the pride party. Last year we did an event downtown in partnership with Kathmandu outside. I just wondered, I got some feedback from some residents who, wanted to go to both things and they couldn't make it all happen because it's kind of close together and there's a lot going on that month. And they wondered why we couldn't kind of do one event that kind of combined both things. Maybe it would get more attendance. I think what I've heard in the past is this is just the way we've always done it. We've always done it the first Thursday of the month, but I wonder if we want to challenge that based on what might draw in a larger audience if we had one event that we put all our energy into. So I'm interested in the feedback of the committee on that.
Is that in May?
June.
That's in June. Yes, Jasmine?
I also just wanted to add, we're in the early stages of working with Lauren from Heathmere as well to potentially host Racial Amity Day, which would also be in June. So if I'm thinking about how this past June was, especially for me, 6 weeks into the job, be kind.
I think, I'm in favor of combining it. I think that's something the subcommittee would definitely have to iron out and let us know, but I don't see any reason why we can't do one event. At this point, I think we probably will have to do one event because there's just so many days in June. And then the kids will go out of school in June as well. We have graduation, so yes, Paul.
Well, I agree. I think it'd be nice if we can combine it.
Yes.
And also, I'm just looking at the calendar, and I think when we had the event at the library, excuse me, it was a Saturday, and maybe we could do that, raise the flag on a Saturday, and then move right down
Yeah.
to the
That's right.
event.
That's right.
Saturday the 3rd is the first Saturday of the month of June, so it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I will volunteer myself. I should be ready to go by June, so I'll serve on that committee.
I'll help as well.
And Donna. Anyone else? Paul, Jorge. This is a big one, so the more the merrier.
Don't get a quorum.
I think you can only have one more.
Okay. I think we'll leave it now at 4 then.
Okay.
It's good for now. The next one is Juneteenth. So that's on June 19th. This past year was the second year, and we did a community picnic outside of the library lawn. And I think it was really very successful. So who would like to be a part of that event?
Yeah.
All right. I think honestly it's really tricky to have the same people be leading Pride and Juneteenth because there's a lot of work to do and they're so close together. So I would advise for anyone that's not doing Pride if they could step up and help with Juneteenth. Otherwise it's a lot of work to fall on a few people.
And we'll have 2 new members by then, so.
That's true.
Yes, we put them to work right away. So.
Okay, so I have Bob for now, so if others can consider if they'd be willing to help. The next one is the annual Declaration of Independence reading. So I did want to ask about this. I was curious. I think the last couple of years it's been a scramble. I don't think it's been well planned in advance, and I know just from observing, I think it puts, if it's not a priority for the committee, I think it puts a lot of stress on the members that are left to figure it out a few days before, and it's not acceptable. So we need to decide as a committee, do we want to continue to be the leaders of this event, or do we want to work with other groups to lead the event, and maybe we, take that burden off of this group. Just from my own reflections, I'm not sure how this event actually sits within our mission and our committee. So I wondered if perhaps by partnering with an organization like the Historical Society and doing some joint effort, that might make more sense rather than having this sit as our event. And then again, we're kind of scrambling. So I wanted some thoughts on that.
Well, this happens to also be my birthday. I take a particular interest in this day. I don't know. I thought, I've been a part of the July 4th for a while now, and I thought that generally it went pretty well. In fact, there was a member of the Historical Society that helped us out. I think maybe, maybe a little more planning should, is necessary, should go into it. But I definitely think that our group should, our committee should be the head,
Should be so then
the
I think
leader.
what we need then is someone to be willing to lead it. Because just from my observations, what I saw is we weren't prioritizing it, so we weren't talking about it leading up to it. And then I think a lot fell to Jasmine to organize at the last minute with coordination, so.
Well, Sally Cairns also
Has done most of the organizing and had all the different readings.
Yeah.
And
So then
even to
perhaps,
people.
she's not a member, right? So perhaps,
No, well, she was for a number of years before she was elected.
I understand that. So perhaps what I'm saying is, since we're not proactively planning it and leading it, perhaps we figure out what group would be the best group, since she's not a member.
I think it'd be a good
currently.
idea to ask her what she wants to do for continuing.
But this is, I want to be clear though, this is event that our committee is leading. And so if we're going to want to lead it, we need people that want to lead it, is all I'm saying. We can't wait for a week before and have non-committee members leading it, because I think it doesn't fit in with our structure of how we run events. So I think I'm just challenging the group to rethink about how we're doing it so that in the last minute the burden doesn't fall on people like Jasmine or other members that maybe get last minute requests. This is just from my observation, so please, I'd love to hear what others think.
But I think the theme of July 4th, I mean, our independence, freedom for all, I think these are important and really, you know, characterize what this committee stands for. So, Jasmine, did you feel overwhelmed? I mean, just a point of information.
I don't know.
You know,
I think I think the point that Kristen is making is that I mean, my good friend Sally have always stepped up and gotten it done, but it's not if it's a Sally event, then it's not a HRC event. That's what she's saying. So we definitely can use help, because we're seeking help from community members, from people that are not member of the committee. But if we wanna run it, we just need a committee member to lead it, and we can get all the expertise that we can from anyone to help us do it. So we're making a list of subcommittees to be able to lead these different events. And what does that event look like? That's something that the subcommittee will work and bring to this full committee for consideration. So is there anyone that's willing to serve on the July 4th subcommittee?
I also want to make sure our students, who I believe you're aware of the 4th of July reading, but if you have any comments, I want to make sure you're offering those up about what your perspective might be of the 4th as well. So I don't know if there's...
I'm willing to volunteer for any, I don't know how, like I'm new to all this. I don't know what I can and cannot do, but I'm willing to like help with any of that. But I'm not a committee member, so I still think like there needs to be.
That's right. And if the event is something we want to partner with the Historical Society, that's definitely something that we can consider as well. So what I would say is, since we don't have a volunteer right now for that July 4th, I'll ask us to table that, and then we'll think through our involvement with the event and see if this is something we want to continue doing, or if we want to, like, we need volunteers to be able to run it, or if we want to partner with the Historical Society or partner with Sally, who is now our state rep. So, you know, we can also partner with her office to run it. So, but we need committee members to partner with anyone, as long as it's our event. We can't have our event and then just be like guests. I think that's what Kristen is saying. We need committee members assigned to this subcommittee to be able to help run that event.
I'm willing to call Sally and ask what she wants her role to be this year, because she has done it in the past, but I don't know if she's got time now.
Right.
Or can her office loan us help to do it? And I'm willing to make that phone call.
That's why I said we can table this for now, and then we will revisit it if we have to get those conversations first, so we have a clear understanding as to where the event is going.
Well, just let me add that, you know, the Declaration of Independence is a declaration of human rights, and after all, that's the name of our committee. So I think we definitely should
Oh no, I don't.
play some kind of
I mean, I don't disagree that we should do it. I mean, and again, David Douglas would think otherwise. so we can't get into that now.
Right.
But I still think that the ideals stipulated in that document are the ideals that we're all striving for. So that's very important. Do we put it contemporaneously, or do we put it in the historical terms? That's something we can decide, but that's not where we are. We need committee members to to be committed to doing the event. That's all. So we're just forming a subcommittee to run the event, and then we can decide how we do it at a future date. But like I said, let's table it and we'll revisit it.
Okay.
And then I think the last event of 2023 will be Hanukkah again. So I think maybe we can plan for that and begin kind of seeing what we want to do after this year's event. And then we can assign people then, if everyone's comfortable with that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda will be MLK updates.
All right, well, over the past couple of months, we've had 2 subcommittee meetings with the school department. Mary Wormers and Adam Federico have helped us to organize the program as we know it from the previous 2 years when we couldn't have it. So, be concise. We're basically going to run the same type of program at the high school, in the atrium. We just had our most recent meeting. I believe the date was October 7th. I think it was a Friday, and we had one in September, subcommittee meetings. Right now, the committee is Bob Gamer and myself, and Jasmine is on it. So we have met your criteria for subcommittee members. We could use some more help. Of course, we always have D, report back to him again, but he's busy, and we're on our way. There aren't many surprises in this. It's not going to change that much from what we've had. At one point, we were going to have an in-service type of program, but then Amanda left, and she was going to spearhead that. So right now, we're not going in that direction. So the program basically is what it has been from 4 to 6 p.m. From 4 to 5 will be a social gathering with refreshments, and then from 5 to 6, we'll have the program. We're going to have artwork displayed from K through 12, and that's been a big success. We're also going to have, I believe, if Bill's available, the Lions Club.
Yeah, the middle school is entering the Peace Poster Contest again, so we'll have a number of those posters.
Right, so the artwork is basically, I think we're expanding the artwork right up through the high school at this point. We're also right now committed to have choral presentations from HRMS, DHS, and St. John's Prep. That's where we are with that.
I believe in Brandeis.
And Brandeis. I was supposed to call you.
Brandeis University.
I think we left it off, and was there any question, or you were all set with it, I think?
I think we're all set.
That's what yeah, okay, excellent, thank you. Yeah. So we have 4 groups helping us. We don't have a featured speaker now, and quite frankly, with only 2 of us on the committee, basically, we're either searching for a committee, a main speaker, or not, and we also are thinking about the possibility of awarding a Drum Major for Justice award. Well, that can cover 2 bases, really, if we get an honoree who could be the main speaker. But we need the committee's help on this one. It's just not a subcommittee thing. We don't have I don't know where we go for that, because every year it seems to be a bit of an issue to get someone to come in, speak 10 to 15 minutes, no more, preferably, and then, because we also have local elected and public officials who have to be recognized and given the opportunity to say a few words. So, but right now, if there's anything in the program that's sort of soft and unreasonably flexible, it's that speaking part. We will have, we think we could have, Mary, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we might have some participation from students. So that's an area that is solidified. But that one gap, award, a Drum Major for Justice, or we could do 2, but again, we have to watch the length of the program. We have a commitment to get the programs printed. And that's about it right now. So, like I said, anybody that's been to the program, probably, I think in 2020, in January, was our last in-person program, right before COVID came in and swept everything aside. So it's basically going to be similar to that. The only problem we have now, we haven't done this because we don't have the resources right now, is we haven't done anything with fundraising, and we're hoping that the committee will step forward, the HRIC committee, to help us, not just us, but the whole HRIC list of events to fundraise, so that we're not just fundraising for one event. And I think, if anything, I can urge you as a committee, urge us as a committee to immediately, by the next meeting, get a subcommittee together to organize and try to finalize a program as to how we want to go about fundraising. Because like I say many, many times to these folks, because I've done a little of this in my past when I actually worked for a living, tried to fundraise. It's not an easy thing, and you can go out and you can try to raise $500, but you might, and try to do it by selling 500 t-shirts. That's a lot of selling to get $500, where you can talk to one person and get $500 from a bank or a business. It's a lot easier. So I'm just putting it right out there that the committee should get going on fundraising for the total year, for all these programs that we want. And I would be happy to sit on that subcommittee, but I don't want to be the lead person. Okay? That's where we are with MLK. We're in good shape. We really are in good shape as far as organization. We are, with the exception of, not even the fundraising, but just with the exception of the award or the main speaker.
Things are really falling into place.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, I really want to thank Adam and Mary. I mean, their help has been so wonderful.
They know the program as well as
Yeah.
we do. Seriously.
So, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So, yes. Oh, go ahead. Yeah. No, that's fine. Go ahead.
I think it might be helpful to know exactly what support you're looking for in case committee members aren't able to commit to a subcommittee or there's hesitation or anything. Knowing I know it's clear we need to put our heads together and think about fundraising, but like specifically, like what other areas could committee members work on to support you? That's a really hard event for two
Right.
people. I don't think that's fair to put on.
I'll be honest with you. Bob and I could use another person, but we haven't invented this wheel. We've just been carrying it around for the last 5 or 6 or 7 years. We've gotten a lot of support from Jasmine. She's sort of like been the cleanup lady with the basics. We tend to get, at one point we're talking about having this choral group or that choral group, and next thing you know, we thought we were going to have so many groups, we were going to have a concert. It wasn't going to be
They wanted a music festival. That's what they wanted.
Probably, but we don't. It's not a monetary issue because the committee, our committee, has a budget, and it's always helped us in this particular area. And I think when we got that in the line item, to be honest with you, we didn't have all these other events that we have now. 4 or 5 years ago, we all know that we had the big event has always been MLK, and then I think the next thing that came along was Pride and Hanukkah. And, those aren't big spenders, but the MLK could get a little costly if you're not aware of what your funds are that are available to you. So I'm talking about getting funds for all events,
Right.
not just going out and selling one event.
So, and also I think to get to also addressing Kristen's question, I think from what I've witnessed from the meetings, it would be helpful to help brainstorm who could be a recipient of the major
Drum Major for Justice.
The award. Having an award recipient, and also is helpful, like doing that outreach to think about that. I know I had said that I'm happy to put together what's becoming like a staple now, but an event brochure. So not only does it have a program on it, but similar to the Latinx Heritage Month celebration, it would offer factual information about who MLK was. I am happy to put that together. Would love support if someone has time to look up facts about Martin Luther King that go beyond just this narrative of service, right? This is a civil rights advocate. I found my pictures of him in color, so I'm happy. There weren't just black and white photos at the time that he was speaking. That could be another helpful thing, so researching facts about him would help me. So those are two particular asks I can think of. And then I believe Mary and I are continuing to figure out the best way to engage students. We really do want that, as much as we can hear about students talking about their experiences as it relates to him, we want to uplift that ideally and have that be the focus. And then this award as a speaker can almost be, I don't want to say secondary, but we want the students to have the show. Hear that? We want you. Not you in particular, but you know.
Thank you so much for the update, Paul. I'll volunteer myself to help you for the remaining few weeks that we have, so you can add me on that email list.
We can just get on this total committee fundraising thing. It's
Yes.
gonna be a help for everybody.
And as far as the fundraising is concerned, I mean, we do have enough to be able to support MLK. And while we're talking about fundraising, I'm also pleased to let everyone know that, is it Northeast Bank? North Shore Bank? I'm sorry, thank you. North Shore Bank just gave us a check of $1,000, and that was 2 days ago. Jasmine and I were fortunate enough to receive the check from North Shore Bank, and it was very important that we know how we got it. This was an employee-initiated fundraiser where they decided to wear jeans every Friday for $1 or $2, and all the employees put it together, and they had to get together and decide one organization that they can donate the money to support their mission. And it's true that we had kind of like a leg up because Eileen works for them now. So she put in some good words for us. Thank you, Eileen. But then they also had to vet us and make sure that they are donating into an organization with a mission that we support. So we should be very proud of the work that we do. We're getting noticed, and they just gave us a check of $1,000 that I'm sure will cover MLK. So another thing that we can do on the fundraiser, if you could please share the list of donors from last year. At a minimum, we can send them letters to seek their help again. We don't necessarily have to go door to door. I know there's at least one person at this table that will be willing to donate if they get the request.
Already got it.
Okay, perfect. So I think that's something, if you share that list with the subcommittee, we can divide it up and just send those letters.
I can get you everybody that we've had probably in the last 3 or 4 years.
Perfect. So I think that will be helpful, and that will take care of that.
With the amounts too. So.
Yes. And I will also echo Jasmine's sentiment that I always feel that this event should be youth-driven. So if we have 1 hour of programming and 45 minutes go to our students, kudos. I'm all for it. So, so I think that we have a pretty packed program. We just have to iron it out and put it together.
And all those funds, people should know, public should know, they go to cover some small things with MLK, but they're also available for all the other funds, all the other programs.
That is correct.
That we're running.
That is correct, including the scholarships that we give
Absolutely.
to our high school students every year. So, thank you so much. And then on the logistics, I suppose Mary is helping us with Alex Grover on the sound and perfect.
Yeah.
That's the easy part.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I will now move on to the next item on the yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Nora has to leave a little early.
Oh yeah, you're more than welcome to. Yes, please. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora's dad.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Mary.
Okay, I'll now move on to the 13th item on the agenda, which is community conversation and Take Back the Bridge debrief. Jasmine and Donna.
So it feels like forever ago, but I did just want to share for those who were not able to attend in response to the anti-Semitic incident that happened on the bridge in the beginning of September. We had our community conversation that took place in the high school library. And this was actually a unique, it seems like, approach to how incidents have been responded to in the past. The goal was to bring together the community, people who had feelings about what was happening and didn't have a space to share them or be in community. So we brought together, it was packed, but I was able to facilitate the conversation for like 80 people with regards to answering prompts around how did this incident make folks feel, what are their concerns, and what would they like to see happen. And one of the things that had come out of that was this Take Back the Bridge, which I'll let Donna talk about in a moment, and some other kinds of responses that came out of that community conversation were continued education around anti-Semitism. So we're working with the Lapin Foundation. I always mispronounce it. To continue to bring that education. They're going to do a history of anti-Semitism screening with us in November at the high school. That's going to be open to everyone. There was also, you'll see later on the agenda, conversations from this committee about what our role is when these incidents happen, and structurally, how are we working between the community and my role and the town to ensure there is adequate response. And also an acknowledgement that this is not just a Danvers issue when it comes to anti-Semitism, this is a regional one. So thinking about at what levels can we be having this conversation? Is it a regional conversation? How do we bring people together from outside of Danvers as well to address this? And so I've heard a lot of positive feedback about the conversation itself. Again, it wasn't really something that's been done here before, but I think it's, as a structure, is a tool I'd like to keep in my tool belt from the purview of my role, where I can facilitate those kinds of conversations when hate-related incidents happen. So I want to turn it over to Donna, who was really instrumental in bringing these to life.
I don't know how instrumental I was, but now you can hear everything. Okay. I don't like that. The event went really well. What came out of the community conversations was many of the people in attendance provided their emails and phone numbers. And one of the most prevalent comments was that people wanted to do something on that bridge again, more or less taking it back, that these were not people from we don't know who they were, and I don't care who they were. They're not welcome here, and that's not what Danvers represents. And we wanted to have something on that bridge showing what Danvers was about. That kind of came out of the community conversation. So Deb Lapin was very instrumental in helping me since then and helping get the message out. One of the things I don't want it to do is fall on this committee to deal with the ongoing anti-Semitic issues. It's too hard for those of us on this committee because of open meeting laws. I can't just call everyone and say, we need to have a meeting, this happened, we've got to react. We can't do that. So we need people in the community to come forward and want to get involved in this. So in addition to the Take Back the Community Walk, which I'll get back to in a minute, people also did say that they want to come up with a way to have an emergency response team when things happen that need attention, like just say that ever happens again, that people show up with these negative anti-Semitic issues or other types of hate in a public place in our town. Is there a way we can get the word out via text or something immediately so people can show up? And if you show up, how is that going to look? What are we going to do? What are we going to be prepared to say, or how do we behave in that situation? Because I think it is really important, too, to take the high road. We're not like them. I'm sorry, I hate to do the we-they thing, but I don't know how to address hate haters. So there's two things. So the march went off really well. There were well over 100 people. I'm not even sure, because every time I used to work in a fire department for years, and my boss was a fire marshal, and he could walk into a building and count people in 10 seconds. I don't know how he did it. I don't have that magic power, but there were a ton of people there. There were so many, and it was really nice. Mostly everyone under the bridge was hunking and supporting and waving and cheering. I heard there were some that weren't. I didn't see those, luckily. Everybody I saw was very, very supportive, and you were out there as well. There were a lot of non-Jews out there as well that just wanted to support and lend a hand, say that that's not Danvers. So I thought that incident went really well. More people did sign up for the list that I have. I do have a list of about 63 names now. So what we're looking at doing, and I need to get, again, and I hate to keep putting it back on Deb at the Lappin Foundation, but she's been very instrumental in helping us organize this, because she's got more experience doing that. But we really need the public to get involved in this, because I can't legally do it as a member of the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee, because of laws that my role in this committee fall under. So we do need more people from the community to get involved in it. But one of the things I do want to see happen is to continue to move forward and have that list, so that we can have a rapid response team, and how do we define that, and how do we train for that. And I've also had some people talk about a sign making class. How do we do signs? Because people showed up with signs, but some of them were so small and were way up on this bridge and you couldn't see them. So how do we make effective signs? What do they say? How do we do that? So, did you have a question?
I'm close with Debbie because I went on the Wada trip
Mm-hmm.
to Israel. I feel like having her come in during community walks, like her grade,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know what the community walks are, but there's like a slot time every day, and like once a week there's an assembly. So maybe having her come in during like the assembly walks for grade to help talk to students, because I feel like if it's after school, people aren't going to come.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I know, like I went to the meeting with Debbie for the other, like for the incident, and like I was one of the only students there. There was maybe like a middle schooler,
Yeah.
their mom, or something like that. But there was no other high school students, so I feel like if we had something during the school day, it could like help.
That we could have gotten the word out in the schools. That's a good idea. I'll talk to you. And I want to get your email too, just so we can do the Hanukkah thing. So we're working on this, and again, Deb's she was great, and they have these groups formed to help address these issues when they come up, because unfortunately anti-Semitism isn't only a regional issue, it is now it's an international issue. It's gotten really bad. The lid came off Pandora's box. I don't know how we put it back on anymore, but I think we do it through our actions and our behaviors and the things we've been doing as part of this committee, like the Taking Back the Bridge. So I'll keep you all posted. I need to do some more work, but again, I'm happy to talk to the board about it, but I'm really trying to get other people more involved in this, because it can't fall on me to do this, or any of us in the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee. So I'm trying to figure out how to pass that off but stay involved, because I think that's what we'd like our role to be.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Yes.
Just a comment, which Donna mentioned, the signs, some great signs there, but great if you're walking by right next to somebody. If you're gonna hold a sign up on the bridge, you expect people driving by to read. Look at the street signs out there. The letters are this big. You've got to make your letters big enough so they can read it. That's one thing can I say this? Asshats did better than us. They made a sign that people could read from below. You've got to make your letters big enough for people to read. And the Department of Engineers for DOT has specs for what letters sizes you need for different distances and speeds. So something we need to look into and get information out to. But look at street signs and see how big the letters are.
Yeah,
if you're looking for something someone can read driving by, that's how big you need to make your letters. So, but it was a great turnout. I agree. It was amazing to see so many people there. It was heartening to see so many people there, and I was very proud of Danvers that night.
Definitely, and kudos to you, Donna and Jasmine, and everyone. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't agree more. And I do think that, I mean, the community response group, you're right. I don't think we necessarily have to lead it, but I think part of what we did in this case, which is different from what we've actually done in the past, it wasn't just to go put an event together. It was, yeah, we did put it together, but we really just created space for the community to come together, you know, and start that healing process. And if that team is together, we can still play a supportive role where we create space and facilitate those conversations. So.
Anti-Semitism, you're right, is an international problem. The United States has had more anti-Semitic attacks this year than in any other recorded year. The worst thing is silence. If the German people had resisted the rise of anti-Semitism, history may very well have turned out differently. I am positive that our interest is there. I mean, you attended. We organized a demonstration on the killing of George Floyd. That was organized in a week, but we had 500 people show up, including Representative Moulton. So this emergency meeting is absolutely terrific. If we can get 500 people out on the street of Danvers without this, imagine what we could do with this. So I'm strongly in favor of it. I'm glad it's formed.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. So that just, I think you just, that's a segue to emergency meeting protocol and regional committee. That's what you're referring to,
Yes.
right? Okay, perfect. Yes.
Open the door.
That's right. Well, as far as the committee is concerned, so there are two things going on here: the emergency meeting protocol and then the regional committee. So I'll start by the emergency meeting protocol, and I could be wrong, David, and you can correct me. We do have a protocol for emergency meeting, I think, as it stands now. So if there's something that we deem having an emergency meeting for, the chair can call an emergency meeting. And when that happens, we don't need the 48 hours open meeting law. So if
That's correct.
yes, so if there's something that requires an emergency meeting of this board, the chair can, like if Bob had something that he thinks we need to call an emergency meeting for, you communicate that to the chair, and the chair can call in an emergency meeting and just let the town clerk know the location, and that, because it's an emergency, we are not held by the 48 hours open meeting law.
Right.
So that's the current protocol.
But I believe it still doesn't have to be a public meeting.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct. It still have to be a public meeting, and it could be in person or it could be virtual. Yes,
Have a
Paul.
quorum too, right?
That's correct. That's correct. So even in an emergency situation, we still have to have a quorum for any discussion to take place. So in a case like the one that happened, this last incident, because there are two things going on. There's this emergency meeting protocol that we're talking about, but there's a rapid response team from the community that Donna is talking about. That's something completely different. That's something we need to figure out how we can facilitate that. And it doesn't mean that people are on the bridge and 500 other people come to that bridge and clash. This is not a counter-protest situation. Right. It's more, we want to be intentional, deliberate into how we proceed. The second thing is, what I wanted to say was, in this instance, for example, we also we should be mindful of the fact that when this incident occurred, I think we were notified, I think Lieutenant Rob notified myself on Sunday night. I think it was a weekend, or Saturday. I think I saw the email Sunday. And Monday, we started the conversation. The town manager was informed, the chief, Jashmin, to the chair of the select board. So, and then the statement was issued, I believe, Wednesday morning or something like that, yes. So, and then we put that community conversation together. And that did not require a meeting of the body. So I think there are things that we can do without necessarily having a meeting, but still respond adequately. So I just want us to know that. As far as the regional committee is concerned, like Jasmine said, this is not a Danvers issue necessarily, but there's a Massachusetts Human Rights and Inclusion Committee Association. I have attended, I think, 3 or 4 of their meetings so far. As a matter of fact, the next meeting is tomorrow on Zoom at 9 a.m. And I can send that information out tonight. I just got it this afternoon. If it's open to all the Human Rights and Committee members throughout the state. And I think that that could be a way for us to start to partner with other Human Rights and Inclusion Committee in the region and have something more regional. I think that would be a good vehicle to start to shape what that regional response will look like. I don't know if anyone has a thought about it.
Essex County, or is it under?
It's the whole state.
The whole state.
It's the whole state. But within that, you know, if you have people from Wenham, there were people from Wenham on the bridge the other day, Topsfield, Salem, Beverly. Like we could have, they have people from Cape Cod, Plymouth. When I believe it was Plymouth, where the select board decided to get rid of their Human Rights and Inclusion Committee because they didn't like one of the decisions. So this association was able to intervene and have representatives go down there and challenge that decision of the select board. So I think that we could use that, even though it's the state, we can make a more regional outreach so that Beverly, Salem, Middleton, we can all work together on the North Shore.
Yeah, it also would allow us to respond.
That's correct.
From our that's why I mentioned Essex County, because obviously we could respond quickly if any other town or city had some type of an issue where they wanted to have a support group.
Yes.
And all various towns could show up.
Yes. And I think having that regional approach is a good thing. I mean, Saugus had an event like we did, and there were people, I think our chief was there. There were the chief from Marblehead, from Middleton, from Salem. So it was really, so we're starting to think of that regional response a lot more.
I think what I'm hearing is that it sounds to me like the law enforcement is involved with us too, just from the standpoint we get the heads up right away. And that's how this happened, I believe. You're saying Rob was the first one to let you know.
Yes.
And that triggers the whole
That's correct.
event, reaction.
Yes.
Good.
Any questions, comments? I feel like I'm speaking by myself here.
I think, Mr. Chairman, one question is, do we want to get ourselves in a situation where we show up as a counter protest while the other protest is going on?
No.
I think we could be causing some serious confrontational issues if we attempted that.
That's correct. And
Although I'd love to, but.
Yeah, I don't think it's wise. I don't think that's the intent of this rapid response group or this regional partnership. I think it's more, like I said, we have to be intentional and deliberate.
And I'm making Rob nervous.
It depends on it doesn't always have to be something like what happened here in Danvers.
Yes.
It can be other incidents as well.
Yes.
I also just want us to continue to think about, I'm going to keep coming back to structure. We need to think about what is the committee's function and what is the community's function. As Dutrichet said, when we created space for community to come together, there was more opportunity for community to have a response. And so I want us to continue to think about what makes sense in our capacity as a committee and to really be clear and able to articulate what that is to community members, because I think that's going to continue to be an ongoing conversation, and it is very important for us to be continuing to build capacity for this work. And that looks like empowering residents to not be in situations where incidents happen and then they're looking to the committee and then the committee's looking to me and then I'm looking to Steve, right? We want to make sure people understand the different ways they can enter the conversation to reach the same goal. So again, I want to, as Dutra said, we're having two different conversations. There's the emergency meeting protocol for what warrants the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee to come together. And then there is a potential for a community rapid response plan. And what I will say about community rapid response, I would love for us to start thinking about so we know through the youth in this country that tech and social media have been an amazing way to create those rapid response opportunities. That's not just in this country, that's across the globe. So maybe the question as we're trying to support the community and thinking about what a rapid response is a question of what tech access would members of our community need in order to engage this way? Like I had mentioned in the last meeting, is the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee creating a checklist for if people want to protest, like with rules about where they can gather? Are we hosting sign-making workshops where we're talking about what that looks like? Are we offering up classes? Here's how to use WhatsApp. This is one platform that's used to rally people together. Or here's how Facebook works to create that. Or, can we rely on the students? Are they sending a response to each other and getting that information from them to their parents? You have a lot of tools. We just have to think about what is the right way to implement the tools that we do have. So that's what I want to clarify with that.
Thank you so much. Any other questions, comments? Perfect. Here none. Next item on the agenda, Danvers No Place for Hate decal. Mr. Gamer.
I'm all for it. I think it's great outreach. And so I think, our committee should support creation of such a decal and do it competitively.
Can you just explain what that, like a bumper sticker?
Like a bumper sticker, just.
Mr. Chairman, point of information. No Place for Hate was, I think, copyrighted by the ADL. We have to be careful that we're not infringing on any patents they might have on that.
I didn't know that.
Well, they had the No Place for Hate community. Danvers was for about 3 or 4 years. And then they started making the hurdles a little bit higher every year to jump over to meet the standards. And we said, the heck with you.
Do you think they challenge us on that?
I'm sorry?
Do you think they challenge us?
I don't know. Well, we should check and make sure that the term "No Place for Hate" might be something they copyrighted. I don't know.
And I think I have seen.
I like the idea, but let's just make sure we're not treading on any toes.
I think I've seen decals and lapel pins and flags for No Place for Hate already.
They have signs posted in certain communities, I think, as you drive in or through.
Yeah.
I've seen signs, but
we had one here for several years.
Right. We went through this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was, every time we'd have a meeting, it was another hurdle to jump to, another requirement. And it's not that it's impossible, but I remember correctly, I think we just threw our hands up and said, we're just trying to get a sign, a street sign up. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Sort of like when you're coming from Middleton here, or, from Peabody, as you enter the town, and it got to be cumbersome. Now, that doesn't mean we can't continue with it, but if you talk about a subcommittee, there's one that you're gonna have your work cut out for.
Where was the idea that we want to distribute this to residents or?
Yes.
Okay. Because if that's the goal, I think even when we do our event, we can actually have that. I think we can purchase no
I
place
have
for
a
hate.
bag of the pins upstairs in my office. I think I might have emailed you this response, but I think rather than recreating the wheel and trying to make a new decal, I'm wondering what it looks like to partner with the ADL or to ask them, can we, you know, make a Danvers specific one, or can we take this symbol, put it on t-shirts or what have you, or even if it's potential to buy more pins from them or something like that, because the message is already there. It's linked to a website that already has resources. So that could be one avenue to also improve our relationships with them, strengthen our relationship with ADL and bring them in, because they have shown up in different ways, especially with the anti-Semitism here. So maybe that's a good way to move forward with that, rather than recreating something and then copyright.
What better way to show what Danvers stands for than that decal?
Yeah.
Also, while we're at it, even a T-shirt.
Yeah.
I'd wear one.
I totally agree. Okay, any other questions, comments? Here none? Okay, so my favorite part of the agenda, new business. Yes, Paul?
We have 2 openings, correct?
Yes.
What's the status as far as replacing them at this point? Do you have any update?
Yes and no. Well, the time frame, the goal, I was hoping that the replacement happens before we start in January. So what's going to happen is, because the people who are interested will have to go to the select board to be appointed. So I was hoping that maybe we can do that. Number one, inform the public today that we have 2 openings for people who are interested. I know the word is being trickling out, and I do know that there are already the talent pool application. Is that what it's called? There are people who had put their name on the talent pool application last year or a couple years ago. So Jasmine has reached out to them to see if they're still interested. And I think that was today. The email went out today.
Was it? Oh my goodness, was it today?
So-
yes, and there are, I believe, like 11 total that I saw. As Dutrice said, anyone who submitted it more than like 6 months ago, I did reach out just to check in and see if the interest is still there. The couple names I had recognized are of folks who have also committed to other committees. But so there is a pool.
Yes.
I think continued recruitment is wonderful, would be helpful too.
Is this committee limited to 11? Because I don't have any understanding of
Yes.
if there is a limit. There is a limit.
It is 11, yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
It is 11.
That's it.
Yes, so the idea is that those candidates from the talent pool will continue to show interest. We'll probably have a conversation with Jasmine, Steve, probably myself, Kristen, and the names will go to the select board for appointment, because that's their appointment.
Excellent.
And hopefully by January we have a full committee.
Thank you.
Yes, any other? Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, little off our normal agenda, but I'd like to take a moment to recognize a Danversite who we lost this past week. Margaret Peg Zielinski served on the planning board for at least 10 years, maybe longer. And the last year of her service, she was suffering with a debilitating terminal disease, and she continued to serve right up until her final weeks. And I just think this is a testament to some of the people we have in town. And I'd just like to honor her for her commitment and her civil duty to the town.
Her funeral is tomorrow afternoon at St. Peter's in Beverly.
Thank you, David.
Yeah. Thank you, Peg, wherever you are.
I second that.
Thank you. Any other new business? You know? Okay. Well, my last one is just to thank again Jasmine for, it seems like you've been here 10 years now. But I think that the training, Word Matters, was, I did learn a lot. And thank you for putting that together and the upcoming one. I will encourage all of us to attend because, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And I think it was really eye-opening to see how words can really matter. Because we always say word matters, but when you have some tangible examples, it kind of gives you that aha moment. So I encourage all of us to continue to further, to educate ourselves. And the last is anyone listening, please vote. It doesn't matter who you vote for, but I'll just encourage because it's really important. It's a great civic service. So I just encourage everyone to go and vote. If there's no other further business, I'll need a motion to adjourn. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Good night, Danvers.